Welcome to our channel. Here we read Bible stories improvised for children and adults alike. Our verse today is Genesis 16:13, and she called the name of the Lord, Thou God seest me. Who is she? In this verse, the character and the name of the story is Hagar. Hagar understood the great God of Abram, saw her difficult situation, and God cared about her even though she was merely a runaway Egyptian slave girl. Today's story is entitled The Angel at the Well, taken from Genesis 16 through 17. Now Abram was an old man, and Sarai, his wife, was old too, and in spite of God's promise to them, they had no children. They were sad about this, but Sarai had an idea. In those times, long ago, men often married more than one wife, so Sarai suggested that Abram marry Hagar too. Before long, Hagar knew she was going to have a baby, and then she did a very unkind thing. She began to laugh at Sarai because Sarai had no children. Soon things were very unhappy in that desert camp. There was continued bickering between Hagar and Sarai, until one day, Hagar was so unhappy with it all, and Sarai, who was still her mistress, treated her so harshly that she decided to run away along the desert pathway that led back to Egypt. At a fountain by the wayside, Hagar stopped to rest, and suddenly with her was an angel from God. And the angel asked, Hagar, Sarai's maid, where do you come from? And where are you going? She answered, I am running away from my mistress, Sarai. Then the angel made a wonderful promise to her. Never mind, Hagar. Your baby will be a son, and God wants you to call him Ishmael. Through him, you will become the mother of a great nation. He will be a wild man and a wanderer, and his people will be the same. But God will look after you, so do not be afraid. Go back to Sarai, because God's eyes are on you, and he will be your helper. So Hagar went back again to the camp. When it was time, she had her baby son. She called him Ishmael, just as God had said. Now that name means God shall hear. So every time Hagar looked at her little son, she remembered the promise God had sent to her by the angel. Even the fountain where she received that wonderful promise was given a special name. It was called in the Hebrew language, the well of him that lives and sees me. Around about this time, God again spoke to Abram and made the same promise he had made to him before, that he would become the father of many nations, and that God would not forget the promise he had made. Although Abram was 99 years old already, and Sarai was 90, much too old to have children unless God did something marvelous, yet God believed what God had said. Yet Abram believed what God had said, and God changed his name to Abraham, which means the father of many people. Sarai's name, too, was changed to Sarah, which means princess, and God said she would become the mother of nations. And this promise would begin to be kept when Sarah had a baby son, whom God wanted them to call Isaac. That was a strange name. It means someone laughs, and God gave that name because when he told Abraham about the little baby who would be born, Abraham laughed. It seems so impossible, but nothing is outside the power of God. What God promises, he will do. Thank you for joining us on our Bible reading journey. I hope you can join us next time for the following story entitled A Promise from God and a Fire Out of Heaven.